Welcome back, Warriors. I'm your Quartermaster yet again, and it's great to see y'all. Welcome to the 26th video of my Weapon Workshop series. In this tutorial series, I look at all the relevant statistics for all the weapons we're supplied with for this 2042 conflict. Mind you, some of the info on the weapon crates ain't exactly accurate, so that's why I'm here, to test them out for you and get you the most accurate info available. On top of gathering info, I also give y'all my 3 suggested builds taken to the field for dealing with all manner of combat situations. Today we'll be taking a look at our third SMG, the MP9. The MP9 is, well, the MP9 is a Swiss 9mm submachine gun from Brugger and Tomet. This weapon has a base close combat magazine that will serve as the basis for our ammunition comparisons. This magazine can spit lead at a blistering rate of fire of 911 rounds per minute. With this kind of rate of fire, we can expect the damage ranges to be rather short, and they are. From 0 to 29 meters, we deal 22 damage per shot. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 18 per shot. Then from 50 to 74 meters, we drop to 15 damage before dropping to our minimum damage of 13 at 75 meters. Now, I know that's a low damage number, but take into account that this is without a suppressor, so I'll get into that later. Using the stats we previously discussed, we end up with a TTK between 263 and 461 milliseconds. And then headshot does not affect our TTK at all. Keep in mind those higher TTKs will be nigh unreachable, given at those ranges your bullets will be all over the place, but we'll get into that later. After the close combat rounds, we have access to subsonic rounds. These rounds have a smaller ammo capacity, reload and fire slower, and surprisingly have better ranges than the close combat rounds. In terms of rate of fire, we drop from 911 of the close combat rounds down to 800, a pretty notable drop. However, the increased range on these bullets means that you can make a very consistent use of this ammo. From 0 to 49 meters, we deal 22 damage. That is a 66% increase to our maximum damage range. Next, from 50 to 74 meters, damage drops to 18. Next, from 75 to 99 meters, we deal 15 damage per shot before reaching our minimum damage of 13 at 100 meters and beyond. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK between 300 and 525 milliseconds. And then headshot does not change these values at all. Again, keep in mind, with the spread of this weapon, those higher TTKs will be very hard to reach. The last ammo we have access to is standard issue rounds. These rounds fire slower, roughly around 853 rounds per minute, reload slower, and have higher recoil but give us better damage ranges. Somehow, these rounds have worse ranges than the subsonic rounds. From 0 to 39 meters, we deal our maximum damage of 22. Next, between 40 and 49 meters, damage drops to 18. Then from 50 to 99 meters, we deal 15 damage per shot before once again reaching our minimum damage of 13 at 100 meters. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK between 281 and 492 milliseconds. Headshots still don't matter. Now we get to everyone's favorite part. How much do suppressors affect this weapon? Well, the MP9 has 3 suppressors that have an effect on our TTK. There's the 6KU suppressor, the PB heavy suppressor, and the Type 4 heavy suppressor. The PB heavy and the Type 4 heavy both claim to pair well with subsonic rounds to make your hits undetectable by the enemy. These, however, will cost us a good deal, but let's look at the 6KU suppressor first. From 0 to 29 meters, we deal 20 damage to the body, and this does not affect our TTK at all. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 17, which also doesn't affect us. From 50 to 74 meters, damage drops to 14 per shot, which means we'll need one more bullet to kill. Then from 75 meters and beyond, we deal 12 damage, once again requiring an extra bullet to kill. Using these stats, the 6KU suppressor has a TTK between 263 and 527 milliseconds. Headshots still have no effect here. Next, let's have a look at the ranges on the PB heavy suppressor. From 0 to 29 meters, we deal 19 damage to the body, changing our 5-shot kill into a 6-shot kill up close. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 15, also adding a bullet. From 50 to 74 meters, damage drops to 13 per shot, which doesn't affect our shots to kill. Then from 75 meters and beyond, we reach the disgustingly pitiful damage of 11, requiring 2 extra shots to kill. Even though we won't ever be using this weapon at this range, that's still disgusting to know. For our TTK values with the PB heavy suppressors, these range from 329 to 593 milliseconds. And in a headshot actually matters with this suppressor, changing our TTKs to be between 263 and 527 milliseconds. Why you would ever run this barrel option is beyond me. Lastly, looking at the Type 4 heavy suppressors, it is basically an all-around better version of the PB heavy. You get all the same benefits when using the subsonic rounds, but your damage isn't affected as much. Looking at the ranges from 0 to 29 meters, we deal 20 damage to the body, and this doesn't affect our TTK at all. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 16, which will cost us an extra bullet. From 50 to 74 meters, damage drops to 14 per shot, means we'll need one more shot to kill. Then from 75 meters and beyond, we deal 12 damage, once again, require an extra bullet to kill. The only difference in damage between the 6KU and the Type 4 is in the second damage range, so it is not a terrible option if you run Subsonics. For my recoil test, I fired 20 rounds from each ammo type at 15 meters, a decent range for an SMG. Looking at the ammo comparisons, I accidentally tested the ammo in the wrong unlock order, so forgive my oversights. The standard issue rounds do have a noticeably higher kick at just 20 rounds fired, so you can imagine what a full 30 from the extended mags could look like. The Subsonics, however, seem to have the same magnitude as the close combat, so that's a good thing, seeing as the MP9 mags don't have all that much spread or kick, at least not this close up. When looking at the recoil from the barrel options, I used the close combat extended mags to see how far recoil would go. These were also conducted at 15 meters. The Warhawk compensator drops our recoil a little, but the massively increased spread ain't worth that minor benefit. The tactical compensator, on the other hand, barely reduces spread, but increases our kick quite a bit. Both are not great options. Champion muzzle brake is just a better version of the Warhawk compensator, while the RCOM tactical muzzle brake doesn't really increase our recoil all that much while still reducing our spread. Oddly enough, all the suppressors seem to increase our recoil as well. For the grips, they all look very similar aside from the Cobra grip, which has much tighter spread, while the MGL laser technically is less recoil, but my initial shot was off of the baseline, so it looks slightly higher. Again, my bad, folks. Looking at the hipfire of the MP9, we can see that, as expected, it is very good. The LS1 laser does its usual job tightening that reticle, and the MGL will probably do this while moving too, but looking at the plots themselves, they're all basically the same, all things considered. For my first combo, we're going with the build best for up close and personal fighting. We start with the iron sights for a very fast ADS speed, plus the MP9 has good iron sights. Next, we use the close combat extended magazines for a 33% increase to our ammo capacity at the cost of reload speed. After that, we strap on the MGL laser for improved hipfire accuracy and recoil control before ending with the RCOM tactical muzzle brake for tightening up our recoil spread at the cost of vertical recoil. My first combo, the Slayer, is essentially the best aggressive MP9 build out there. The close combat extended mags give you plenty of ammo without any of the downsides of running the drum magazines. You still get 40 bullets to spray at your enemies, and that could certainly be more than enough to handle most fights. The MGL laser and RCOM tactical muzzle brake work together to mitigate our vertical recoil and spread at the same time. The MGL's recoil reduction essentially negating the negatives of the RCOM brake. You can, of course, use any optic you like, but I'm looking for speed in my MP9, and iron sights are the way to go. This build is great for an aggressive medic who needs to get into the fray to save their allies. My second combo focuses on stealth above all else. We start with the XDR hollow sight for a clear sight picture for stretching out the range of this build. Next, we use the subsonic ammunition for that increased range and stealth capabilities at the cost of ammo capacity and rate of fire. After that, we use the Cobra grip for improved static accuracy at the cost of mobile accuracy, and we end with the Type 4 suppressor for its improved stealth benefits when paired with the subsonics without sacrificing too much damage. The Clipper is built to take advantage of the chaos of the front lines without being the one taking all the heat. Use this build to take advantage of distracted enemies or when you get behind enemy lines. The increased range of the subsonic rounds makes this build more viable at a variety of ranges than the Slayer. Combine this with the Type 4 suppressor means that when you're getting hits on enemies, they won't have any indication as to the direction, so you can pretty much post up in a dark corner and go to town. However, the reduced ammo capacity very much makes this a get a kill and reload type of weapon. You won't do too well going against other weapons with similar ranges thanks to the higher than average spread of the MP9 and the lower maximum damage. Use this as a tactical choice, not a frontline one. And there you have it, folks, all the stats you need to know and the best builds to properly utilize your rapid fire and compact Swiss MP9. It's got decent damage for the rate of fire, but the spread doesn't lend itself well to longer range fights, just as nature intended it. I did my best to get the most accurate stats on my personal testing of this weapon on the orbital tested range. So with that, what do y'all think of the MP9? Do you like it more than I do? It's certainly on the lower end of my SMG ranking, but let me know your thoughts down below. And so if I did a good job today with this briefing, be sure to leave me a like and subscription to show the major that you want more statistical briefings just like this one. And with that, I've been your quartermaster. Until next time, I will see you later.